Hello. How is everybody doing? Please excuse my still wet hair, but I washed it this morning, and y'all know how it is when you got long curly hair. So what's up, gang? It's so nice to have you here. So this is the first time that I have done an Ask Me Anything. So I thought that this would be kind of like a little off the cuff, chat that, we could talk about Nano and how we are getting ready for it, what we are writing, anything that you would want to ask me as a lifestyle and productivity coach for writers with full-time jobs. And I see some friends in here. Hello, Brandy. Hello, Jenna. How are you guys doing? So, let's talk a little bit about Nano while we're waiting for some people to come in, because I do realize that Sarah Cannon is also doing a live right now, and I didn't even think about that when I scheduled this live. There's Rita. Hello, my darling. And Jolene. Hello, hello. So, let's talk a little bit about Nano. I've been doing Nano for, I think this is year 6. It might be year 5, but I think it's year 6. And this is my first Nano doing it as a full-time author. Normally, I was working a full-time job. My very first Nano, I was working in, and some of you have already heard this story, but I was working in a call center as a answering phones for funeral homes all over North America. It was a really tough job. And at the same time, my father was very sick and I was living alone. I didn't even have Ziggy back then. So yeah, it would have been at least 5 years, because Ziggy is 4. So, yeah. And I would work until 8 o'clock every night and come home on the bus and come into my cold, dark apartment all by myself. And I would sit down to write. And I would write until 10 or 11 o'clock. But the one thing that saved me, I wrote 53,000 words in 26 days. And I think what saved me is the 45-minute-ish commute from work to home. I took public transit. I took the bus. So I worked out what I wanted to write that night when I got home. And I came through the door, and I had always been big on food prep. So it was a matter of just heating up whatever I had ready for supper, taking it to my desk, which is not something that I recommend for people, but I was living by myself, so I could get away with it. And I would sit down to write. And that saved me for Nano. And I had that commitment of, I am bloody well going to do this. And I think that's a lot of what we see this time of year, is that commitment to getting those words in. Hello, Hafrun. How are you? It has been a while. Jenna has questions. So favorite productivity methods. Anything that's going to save you time so that you can get those words in. Things like food prep, meal prep, food, even just prepping your snacks ahead of time is a huge thing. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, know that I love making these snack trays. So I have little bento boxes that are like, sectioned up, and I'll put like cheese and some kielbasa and then a whole pile of grapes. And I'll make those, and I'll make 5 or 6 of them, and they'll go in my fridge. And that's enough for lunch for me. So anything that you can do to save time, right? Whether it's bringing your family in to say to your partner, your spouse, whomever, I need you to do the laundry while I'm doing this. And that would amazingly free you up more time than you actually think that it will. Things like if you happen to take public transit on your way home from work, you're writing down what you're going to write that night. The biggest thing is knowing what you're going to write that day. You don't have to be a plotter to do this. Just knowing what's the next step in the story. What is it that I need to work on to get my words in today? Yeah, I'm going to have to catch it later too, Rita, for sure. There's Melanie. Hello. And Isabel. I am very well. Thank you so much. Oh, that is wonderful. I absolutely love Isabel, one of my Disco Chad journals, and I'm so glad that you got it. Where did I get my bento boxes? Amazon. I mean, you can, I don't know about down in the States, but here in Canada, for those of you who are here that are Canadian, you can get really decent bento boxes at Dollarama. But I purchased mine. I have two different styles. One is like a cup and 3 cups. And then I have a half cup, 3 cups. I got off of Amazon, and they weren't overly expensive. One thing to remember about these, though, is that they're bento boxes, so they are not like tight. So if you're putting liquid in them, they have to go straight into your refrigerator. Ask me how I know, right? But Amazon, even just to have like small containers that you can get at any dollar store for snacks, like portion control, because a lot of us are on that journey of trying to eat better and be healthy. And because if you just drop a bag of pretzels or something on the desk next to you, before you know it, they're going to be gone, especially if you're writing, because you're not even thinking, right? It's just hand to mouth. Also, Brandy, I don't know if I talked to you about this one, but chopsticks are great for snacking at your desk because they keep your hands clean. That's if you know how to use chopsticks. Just saying. But yeah, so any kind of anything that you can do to have that time savings. One of my big ones that I've been doing now since my first Nano, even when I didn't have a vehicle, was ordering my groceries online and then going to pick them up. So when I didn't have a vehicle, I would order my groceries to go pick up on my day off. And the next morning I would get on the bus, take the bus to the grocery store, pick up my groceries, and then get a cab home, because in this town, the cab drivers are really sweet and they would always help me carry my groceries into the house. And that round trip, maybe 40 minutes, as opposed to the 2 hours it would have taken me to take the bus there, shop for my groceries on a Saturday morning, and then, get a cab home. So all of those kind of things that save you time, even if it's something you only do during Nano, because I know a lot of people do not like the idea of somebody else shopping for their groceries because they're like, oh, well, I want to pick out my produce. Well, that's fine. Pick out your produce, but all of your sundries, order them online. So then you're just running in and picking up, apples and lettuce and whatever else that you need out of the produce department, which is usually the first department when you walk in the door. And it's your, in and out in 10 minutes instead of an hour and a half, right? Are those the ones that fit on your fingers, like right here, Brandy? Because I saw a guy on Instagram with those, and he was eating Doritos with these little chopsticks that kind of fit on your fingers and stuck out like this. It was kind of cute. Melanie's saying, I have a set of small glass jars. When I get grapes, I wash them all and divide into individual portions. See, this is perfect. What do you call the jars, that you make jam in? Those jars with the heat seal covers. Those are really good for putting things in that need to be sealed. I don't know why I just drew a blank, but mason jars. That's it, Brandy. Thank you. why I drew a blank on that one. Mason jars are great. They're great for those. Look, you have the bigger ones. You can make those layered salads and stuff. It's anything like that. That is like the number one thing, to make sure that you are fed properly during nano, right? That we're not just eating junk and anything we can put into ourselves in 5 minutes, because that bogs you down, and that does not help with your energy levels. Tamara literally just sent my hubs to the store, right? One thing that I am doing right after this is I have to take mom out to buy a new computer. So I'm going to drop her off at Best Buy. And then I am going to the Oh Canada Yay bulk barn. Bulk barn for snacks, for things that we use, like sugar and flour and biscuit mix and stuff like that we use on a regular basis. I always do a big bulk barn run before nano. I always try to get to Costco before nano, which is not happening this year because of us coming down sick. But Jenna, ways to reset your mindset halfway through November or the muddy middle. This is an amazing question, Jenna. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want this? Is it worth the time, the energy, and the effort that you're going to put into it? Last year, I didn't complete nano because halfway through I was behind and I was burnt out. I was working 9 to 5. I had family responsibilities. I had all of this stuff going on, and it wasn't worth it to me. Like I was saying in my Preptober video from last year, sometimes it's just not worth 50% off Scrivener. You have to decide whether or not pushing through is worth it. But having said that, okay, there are ways to get there, because sometimes just saying to yourself, okay, you know what? I made a commitment to myself that I was going to get those 50,000 words, come what may. That's it. Everything else can wait, non-negotiable. I am getting these words this month. Community is, to me, the number one way to push through that halfway mark when the excitement starts to wear off. Because for the first 10, 15 days, you're going to be riding that wave of woohoo, it's nano, but somewhere I find around day 17, 18, the glitter starts to wear off a little bit. That's when it's super important, if you are dedicated to getting these words, to show up to live sprints in a Discord server. Like for instance, Brandy, part of the On the Wings for Writers Discord server, where you can do sprints in there. Do a replay if that's what you need to do. Let's talk for a minute, though, about live versus replay. I often say to people, if you can't catch it live, do it on the replay. In all honesty, for myself, I don't like replays. I don't like replays because I don't get the same energy from a replay. And it's from the talking to people in the chat, right? It's from that live blow by blow, cheering people on and all of that sort of thing. We do have access to the Google Calendar that Devin Cutting and Kat Leo put together after Devin's channel got shut down. There is a Google Calendar floating around. I will see if I can get a hold of it. I don't know if it's up on my website or not. I remember asking them if it was okay, and they said yes. But I can't remember if I actually put it up there or not. But if I haven't, I'll have it up by the end of the weekend, authormelissapower.com, under the resources tab. So there's always live sprints going on, always. And I love heart breathings, and It's my go-to. But when we're not sprinting for heart breathings, there are other people out there sprinting. There are always other people out there sprinting. AuthorTube is huge. It's huge. So this is exactly it, Brandy. They don't feel the same to me. Now, some people use them all the time. Some people don't have that problem. They just want that timer. They want the, and they want to be told, okay, it's break time, and take that break. And that's fine if that works for you. But getting through that halfway point, lean into your community. Remember your why is a huge thing, remembering your why. And then reevaluating if that why is actually still valid, right? Because maybe it's not. Maybe you got caught up in the excitement of Preptober and overextended yourself. Maybe November is really busy for you at work. Maybe you work in retail, because if you work in retail, November is a hellish month, y'all. And if you are burning the candle at both ends, trying to get it done, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? What in the other parts of your life are suffering because you're trying to get close to 2,000 words in a day, right? They really are the best for accountability, Rita. I completely agree. They get your butt in the chair. Yep, absolutely. I don't find the energy. There is no energy for me on the replay. I know lots of people who prefer a replay, right? Because then they can skip through the break if they want to keep going, and there's no interruption for them. But you know what? You have to find what works for you. Okay. Now, I know that in the Heart Breathings group, there's going to be sprints. There'll be all kinds of fun stuff going on. I'm really looking forward to being able to, kind of be one of the people that gets to do their live sprints on the very first day of Nano, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're there to cheer you on and to try to keep you accountable to your word count. But again, it all comes back to what is it worth it, and what can you handle without burning yourself out? Hello. How are you? Thank you so much for being here. And Tamara's saying, also just showing up and saying I'm struggling today helps refill the well. Absolutely, it does. Because there's no judgment in this community. And it's, if you show up for an evening sprint and you're like, I haven't written a single word all day, you'll get a dozen people coming in here to cheer you on, lift you up, and get you going. That's why it's so imperative to me to make at least one live stream a day during Nano. Let's see. Oh, Brandy dropped the link for the spreadsheet. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Because this thing is gold any day of the week, but especially during Nano, because we all have different schedules. Some of us work shift work. Some of us can't write until the kids go to bed. It is what it is. So there are live streams all the time. So Rita was saying my 2 main sprinters for Friday needed to cancel. So I took it as a symbol to take a day off. So I watched movies and TV series all day. See, some days you just got to listen to the universe, right? And refill the well. But keeping in mind when you schedule yourself that you need to work in buffer days. You have to. I mean, I'm looking at my own schedule, okay? And I'm a full-time author now, so I can write every single day. But I did not schedule myself to write every single day, because I know there's going to be some days where the words don't come. And there's going to be some days where they flow so great, I can get ahead. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I'm doing for myself for Nano is next Sunday, a week from tomorrow, right after my sprints, I'm heading out of town and I'm holding up in a hotel room for 3 nights just to get myself far enough ahead on my Nano project that if something were to happen, if I was to get sick or anything like that, that I have that I'm working in my buffer time there, right? I mean, I know not everybody can do that, and I absolutely realize my privilege of being able to do that. But anytime that you can get extra words in, especially early on, do it. Do it for sure. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, my love. Thank you. That's okay, Rita. Angela forgot her sprints too. She totally forgot her sprints, and I'm like in the admin DMs going, Angela, aren't you sprinting today? It was fun. It was fun. Yeah, I think Jenna does have it actually in her document of holding. She probably does. Tamara, so knowing that you've scheduled off days, how do you adjust your daily word count goals? It's simple math. It's just you take the 50,000 and you divide it by the number of days that you have yourself scheduled to write. But like I said, if you can get more words early on, and most people do because there's that excitement there, right? Then by all means do that, but don't then recalculate for the rest of the month because it's just gravy, right? Because trust me, sometime during Nano, you're going to wake up in the morning and be like, the last thing I want to do today is write. The last thing. Hope y'all brought your coffee. Did you guys see my cute little mug? It says Cat Mom. I got it at the dollar store. I really kind of love it. So, and you know what? You can always be a Nano rebel too. I know people who are like, I'm editing. As a matter of fact, here comes Heidi just saying, I'm editing for this Nano. Printing images of my characters and putting them everywhere so I'll always be reminded of their existence. Now that's a really good motivational thing too, Heidi. I really, really like that. But, you can always be a Nano rebel. I know people who are like, my goal is to write every day. They're not looking at a word count. They're looking at, I get my butt in the chair and write something every day. And that's okay too. There is no Nano police. Who is it that said that? Sarah, I think. There's no Nano police, or somebody said it anyway, that they're not going to show up and like beat on your door. Hello, Inka, my love. How are you? Melanie, suggestions for Nano rebels in managing goals and expectations. Hoping to add to previous manuscript, but the amount will depend on work and other commitments. So do you know what your work and other commitments are? That's the big thing. This is what we're going to be going over tomorrow too in our planning at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to hold a little planning session for Nano, and we're going to work on stuff like this. But the number one thing is, do you know what those commitments are and when you're going to have them? Like, I know, for instance, that you go to Bible study, right? So you know that you have to block that time off. You work a day job, so you have to block that time off. The cats probably get zoomies at a certain time of day. Block that off because you're taking Stratford down off the television set, right? But knowing what your commitments are and knowing what your regular work habits look like. It's all about the data. It's all about what you've done previously and trying to push yourself just a little bit further. But if you can make it tomorrow, Melanie, I think it will really benefit you because we're going to work on that. So for those of you who are looking to come tomorrow, bring your planner, or if you do Google Calendar, use that. But we're gonna start planning out what our month is going to look like and giving ourselves the buffers and that sort of thing. Rita's saying the first 2 days of Nano, the internet companies decided to do maintenance. Oh no. It's good that I'm not online writing and it's available to update the website at night. Oh my goodness. That figures, right? Murphy's Law, right? have friends saying, I have a disability, so buffer days are important, and I never plan them. I always forget the days off. I hear you. I hear you. Personally, I have chronic fatigue, and I am no longer a morning person. So I can get to a sprint first thing in the morning. Absolutely, I can. But can I write? No, I can't. I can do my admin, but I'm not writing at 9 a.m. I'm just not. I'm not capable of it. That's another thing. It's knowing your limitations and what you can do and what you can't do and when. If you work all day so you work in retail and you're on your feet all day and you get home from work, don't think you're going to land in the house at 5 p.m. or 5:30 and start writing, because that's not going to happen. Give yourself the time. Give yourself the time. Do you give yourself daily, weekly, or milestone rewards? Yes. Yes to all. Okay, this is one of my things of going to the Bulk Barn, is they have these particular little chocolates there that are very expensive. So my intent is to buy 30 of them and put them in a jar. And when I hit my word count, I get one. So that's a daily thing. For those of you who have used Sarah's Preptober workbook, you can do the goals for the word count. I created myself an Amazon wish list specifically for Nano and picked out some rewards and labeled them, this many words I get to purchase this. It doesn't have to be that you spend money. I just happen to like spending money. They're all little things that I would not buy for myself if they weren't a reward for Nano, right? They're not things like a new journal or, washi tape and stuff. Because if I want that, I'm going to go buy it, right? They're things that I wouldn't normally buy for myself unless it was a reward. Weekly rewards are usually revolve around food for me. They usually revolve around a specific something I'm going to have for supper, right? Yes, it is a cute mug. I got it at Dollarama. It's awesome, and I love it. I haven't seen another one there yet. I think I got the only one. If my voice starts to get a little gravelly, I apologize, because I know some of you know that Mom has been very, very sick. She's feeling much better now, but I started to come down with it. Not badly, but just enough to make my voice gravelly. Let's see. Curious about the possible rewards for the 30th November after completing the 50K. Do I have mine is, it's something that's a little bit more expensive that I don't even know what I did with that. I don't know if I have that sheet in here, but I try to keep my milestone, like I do every 10,000 words. And I try to keep that reward under $20 or in around the $20 range. I'm looking here. Mine is something like it's a set of 3 shelves, wooden and metal shelves for my bedroom with the moon phases on it. And it's like, I don't know, $30 or something like that on Amazon. So, or a lot of people will go even bigger, or maybe it's something simple like dinner out at your favorite restaurant, or maybe it's I'm on December 1st, I'm taking the day off work and spending the day in bed reading because I'm burnt, right? So maybe it's something as simple as that, but it's what motivates you, right? Absolutely what motivates you. This is why I'm doing the daily chocolate thing, because you all know how motivated I am by chocolate. Just saying. Rita's writing another novel, the one that you started last November. So it's still fresh words. Absolutely. Because most of us write novels that are over 50,000 words, right? We're talking 70, 80, 90, 100,000 words. I think Vengeful Soul right now is sitting at 72. So, yeah, I mean, to me, it's about the words. It's not about the project. So you don't necessarily have to start a new project. I I'm starting a new project because I'm at a space now with my series where I'm not ready to start writing the new book, the second book yet. So I decided that I was going to write a novel for my pen name. So do whatever you want. Be a rebel. Do it your way, right? So what could change if family comes down for Thanksgiving? That would be a big chunk of days away, and the cats. So because that's right, you're American. So we already had our Thanksgiving here in Canada. Ours is in October. And I keep forgetting that Thanksgiving in the States is a huge, big deal, and people don't work for an entire week. Or so it seems. So for those of you that have the Thanksgiving thing going on, you need to plan for that. You absolutely need to plan for that. And not just, okay, I'm going to the families for Thanksgiving, for dinner on Thanksgiving Day. Are you going to need recovery time from that? Because a lot of writers are introverts, and going to something as big as a family dinner where there's like a half a dozen or more people and everybody's talking at once, that takes some recovery time. So think about that too, right? Think about that too. And if you're traveling, y'all know that you need to recover from traveling, especially if you're driving, right? Yes, I will be at Tracy's planning tomorrow as well, because I'm not going to be able to do my weekly plan while I'm doing the monthly planning with you guys. That's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Inca, one of the perks of living in the UK is that none of the sprints start too early, right? Chronic illness also kicks my butt in the mornings. So by the time the sprints start, it's afternoon for me. So you're lucky there, right? You're lucky there. And I mean, we do have sprints that are spread out enough. There's some, for the really early morning people, and then some for like Jen, JD, she comes in after me on Wednesday night. See, I can't do that one because it doesn't start until 10 p.m. for me, right? Because I'm an hour ahead of most of you. Jenna, favorite place to write the most? For me, it's at this desk. It's at this desk surrounded by my plotting wall, my washi tape. I got some really cute crystals in the other day. I found this. We actually have a wholesaler here in Canada called the Gem Boutique, and their prices are, I think, for these two pillars, I paid $20 or something, not each, with shipping. Their shipping is really good too. This is why I love them so much, like $5 for shipping from Alberta to me in Nova Scotia. So I think you can make any place your favorite place to write. And I think a lot of it has to do with what you surround yourself with that makes you happiest, whether it's, your favorite mug and the cat next to you, or it's your crystals or your writing tools or whatever, where you can access the music you like to listen to and all of this sort of thing. I think it has more to do with the atmosphere than it does the environment, if that makes sense. See, Zena, I don't have Thanksgiving, but I have a few exams in November. See, and this is a thing for you too, because you have to give yourself time to study. You have to give yourself time to recover. Like, I'm very big on recovery time, y'all, because we do these things and we expect ourselves to bounce back like we never did them. And the older you get, the harder that is. Okay. I know for myself personally, when we have family over, my nephew and his girlfriend come over with the baby, and they're here for 2, 3, sometimes even 4 hours. I'm done for the day, because Ben is so high energy that I love to be with him, and I would do it every day if I could, but that kind of thing saps my energy. So I need recovery time, right? So if they came over, I would have to make sure that I had my words in before they came over, because I know bloody well that when they leave, I'm falling over. I'm not doing anything once they leave. I'm going to sit down, my butt down in front of the television set and vegetate, because that's all I have the energy for. So keep in mind, you are not superhuman. Okay? Be realistic. It sucks, but be realistic about your time constraints and your energy constraints. Jenna, I have 15 days available to write next month. Ways to figure out my word count. Again, you're going to take 50,000 words and you're going to divide it by 15. Now, this is the way I do it. Some people are like, okay, but I'm not working next Saturday and it's double down day, so I know that I can get 5, 6, 7, 8,000 words done on double down day because I've done it before. That's wonderful. So you can do it that way. So these little extras that you know, okay, I'm going to so-and-so sprints and I'm always really super productive in those sprints. And I always get at least 2,000 words, if not more. Then you can schedule yourself to have 2,000 words that day. Or you can say that you're going to write, what is it going to be, 32, 33, almost 3,400 words a day on the days that you write. That would be the way that I would do it, because I am one of these people that's really motivated by blowing out my word count. So if I say I'm going to do 3,400 words a day because I have 15 days to write, but one of those days is double down day and I know I can get 7,000 words, I'm still only going to put myself down for 3,400 words, because reaching 7,000 is going to motivate me. Okay. That's just the way that I do it. You have to find the way that works for you. Rita, gems and crystals all over my desk. I have seen your desk. I love your desk. I love your desk. Brandy, I don't bounce anymore. I plop and squish, right? You don't bounce back. You just plop and squish. Another thing that I find, talking about this, about the energy, for me, scented candles are a really big part of my nano. I have a candle I bought at Michael's. It is cinnamon spice. It's basically cinnamon and clove, and it's probably my favorite scent. So I bought it, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, and I haven't lit it, because that's my nano candle, right? That's my nano candle. So whatever you need to do to get yourself, like, to get that, now it's time to write. Now, I know I've talked about this before, about writing rituals, about shifting gears from your day job mindset to your writer's mindset. So, I don't know. Can't remember if I put my link tree down here in the description. I don't think I did. But in my Ko-fi shop, there is a free worksheet for developing your own writing ritual. Okay, for taking a few steps to get yourselves ready to write. That can be, step 1 could be making my favorite drink. Step 2 could be lighting my favorite candle. Step 3 could be putting on my playlist. Whatever you have to do, and you do them in that route, same order every time, because our brains thrive on routine. Okay. And once your brain gets used to, when I smell that cinnamon and clove candle, my writer's brain just turns right on, because I've trained myself to do that. Okay. Let me see. Hello, Tabitha. How can I juggle both my 40-hour job and finding time to get writing done without burning myself out? Okay, here's the big question. The first thing you need to do, Tabitha, is sit down and really, really think hard of not so much do you want to do it, but can you do it? Okay? Because the last thing we want is for you to burn yourself out. Be really realistic with your time. As I was saying earlier, You're not going to come home from work and immediately sit down and start writing. That's not going to happen. You got some wind down time, especially if you're driving in traffic on the way home, because that's, I mean, I was lucky enough that I was on the bus, and the 45 minutes from work to my home was my wind down time because I didn't have to deal with the traffic, right? I just got to sit on the bus and listen to music and write down what I was going to write that night. But being super realistic with your time, giving yourself those buffer days, and finding what motivates you, okay? And I think what motivates you needs to be more than I want to do Nano. I want to win Nano, because Nano will be here next year, right? And it'll be here the year after that and the year after that. So if you are reward motivated, what is your reward for hitting not just the 50,000 words, but milestones along the way? Okay. Lean into your community, whether that's you have a writing partner, or whether that's Heart Breathings, or whether that's my channel. Absolutely lean in. Lean in. Get to as many live streams as you can. And if you miss a day that you want, if you were supposed to get 1,000 words in today and you didn't, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up, because tomorrow you're going to want to make up for that. And if you're beating yourself up, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And Tabitha, if there's any way that I can help you, please reach out to me. Heifer, lesson learned last Nano was don't overdo it and finish 50K in 10 days. This is it. I have heard of people finishing Nano in 5 days. 5 days, y'all. That's 10,000 words in a day. I have done that once, and it was the very first double down day that I did with Heart Breathings like 4 years ago. And I got up the next morning and my left hand was swollen to the point that I couldn't bend these two fingers. And I couldn't write another word for 4 days. So know your limitations. I know we don't like to talk about limitations. Like, people talk about limitations like they're something negative, but they're not. They are just the parameters that you have to work inside. Think of them as guardrails, right? If you're driving up a narrow road and there's drop-offs on either side, there's guardrails. The guardrails are there to keep you on the path, okay? So think of your limitations as guardrails. Because if those guardrails are there, the second if they're not there, rather, the second that you lose focus, you're down over the edge of a cliff, okay? They're going to get you to your destination, which is 50,000 words or 25,000 words. Or I wrote 10 days this month, but I only wrote one last month. You don't have to stick to the 50,000 words. Melanie's saying when her parents visit, it's the three of us in a one-bedroom apartment for several days. All the power to you, my love. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Yeah, you're going to need some recovery time. So work that in there. If you have to take a week off during Nano for this, then do it. Do it. This is why you use that positive forward momentum of the first week of Nano to get all the words. Because you know bloody well that when Thanksgiving hits, you're going to be exhausted by the time your parents leave. Exhausted. Hey, Elizabeth. I learned that if you were to write more words, exactly. This is what I was just saying. Thank you for the validation. Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, like, there's this tidal wave of positive energy that comes from the community during especially the first week. And where Nano starts on a Wednesday, and then we have double down day that Saturday. So the first 4 days of Nano, it's like a tidal wave. So absolutely get the words in there if you can. Thank you for that. There is my link tree. There is a link on there to my Ko-fi page, and you can go ahead and download that writing rituals or whatever else. I've got some word count trackers there and everything else as well. Fill your boots. Brandy, how do you shut off your editor brain and keep moving forward? That's a hard one. That's a hard one. I am one of those people that I rewrite as I go normally, but eye on the prize, right? So if you're trying to write 1,700 words in a day, do you have time to edit? And, you know, maybe it could be something like, okay, I have 1,700 words that I'm trying to get down. Once I'm done that, then I can go edit a little bit. Instead of trying to get rid of it altogether, learning to work with it, because that's what I did year before last with Nano, was I got my words in, and then I was allowed to go back and fiddle with them. Okay, so it's more of a work with instead of work against, right? Because we all know that fighting against something never works. Never works. I want to write a story that sets my readers' minds on fire. Curly, you already do. You already do. This is the thing. And Nano is like a jumping off point for a lot of people who are just starting out, I find. That's how I got my first book out, was I wrote it during Nano. And then shortly after, I found Sarah, and then I found Heart Breathings. And that was where I was. I want to write a story that wasn't so much set their minds on fire. It was, I want to write the kind of story that somebody's going to pick up and see themselves in those pages. And you're already halfway there with just the story idea that you've got in your head right now. Because if you write for an audience of one, you will find other people to read your story, because you're not the only one out there who's going to love this story. Just keeping that in mind. Elizabeth was saying that she burnt herself out in January from going too hard and pushing too hard. Being realistic with your time is so important. It really, really is. Yeah. Time and energy need to be considered. And, you know, in my opinion, energy needs to be considered even more so than time, right? Time is finite, but so is energy. And for those of us who work full time or have chronic illnesses and that sort of thing, our energy, everybody else gets a piece first, right? Which isn't, it's not fair, but it's life. And I think that it's really important to remember that your energy is as finite as your time. Yes, I've heard this as well. And you know what? Maybe they were doing dictation, which you can also do. You don't have to type your words. You can dictate your words. I know somebody who has arthritis in her hands, and she's a social worker, and she has to do reports. She has to do notes on every single person she writes with, but her hands are like claws. They're twisted. So she dictates. So think about that as well, right? Someone in my local group completed Nano in 3 days. I don't think she slept. See, I like my sleep way too much to ever do this, ever. Limitations are life ways of keeping you in check. They're the way of keeping you on the path, right? Getting you into your destination without wrecking your vehicle, which is your physical body, right? You're so welcome, Tabitha. You're so welcome. I know, that's crazy. I'm thinking they must have dictated it. Hey, Nadine. I write 850 words in the morning before work and 850 words in the evening. See, that would work for a lot of people. For me personally, it doesn't work because I can't do mornings, but I know a lot of people who get their word count in before they head out the door to work. If you have the kind of shift where you don't have to be to work until noon, then go for it, right? Go for it so that when you come home, you can relax and go to bed at a decent hour. Rita, personally, I allow it after the chapter is written, but I try not to during that. We're talking about editing here. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Do you count both the original and the edited words? I do not. I do not personally, because I have more of a tendency to either replace a single word or to delete words. So I don't generally. I get my word count in, and then the rest of the day is mine. Whatever. But some people do. If you're going into edit mode afterwards and you're adding 50 words, by all means count them. If they're new words, count them, right? I think if I remember correctly, last year Sarah was doing edits and counted her new words and her edits. Now, I might be wrong. It might not have been Sarah, but it was somebody that was doing edits and they were adding to their manuscript, and that was their word count for the day. Yeah, it's an amazing question. I hand write my first draft, count those words, and then count them when I type them up because it changes so much and adds at least another 500 or more words. Absolutely. And bouncing off Brandy, does outlining and world building count as part of the word count, or are word counts purely nano words written? Again, there is no nano, please. And this one, I am almost positive there was a nano that Sarah was world building or outlining and counted those words. I've done it myself when I had to stop and do some more outlining. I counted those words because they were still words that went into my story, right? But there's no nano police. They're not going to come and take away your Scrivener. I'm sorry, I dump on Scrivener all the time. I mean, it's a great program and I love it. I find it funny because that's kind of like the big prize is the 50% off coupon. 50K in a day. I can't even imagine writing that amount in a month, right? Until during my first nano and finished. See, and then there's something so you look back and you're like, wow, I wrote 50,000 words. I wrote a novel in a month and worked 9 to 5 and worked, the back shift and had a baby on my hip and had a dog throwing up on the rug, and took care of my mom, dad, brother, aunt, uncle, it's amazing what we can do with the proper planning and keeping in mind that there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be bumps in the road. Life's going to get in the way. You might have somebody in your life that's going to try to sabotage this. That's a hard one. That's a whole nother talk for another day. I understand not sleeping. I've been pushing myself so hard to finish less in time for the 20 books conference. Oh, Tabitha. Oh, honey, please take care of yourself. Please take care of yourself. I did that for camps, count my final chapter words during revisions. Yeah, see, I do that during camp too. So, gang, we've got this. But keep in mind, there is no nano police. If you don't make the 50,000 words, you have not failed. Don't make me use my mom voice. You have not failed. Your health is more important than 50% off Scrivener, and work within your limitations. That includes your time, your energy, and your responsibilities. You can make it happen. This is it. Y'all, right here. Brandy, you nailed it. You're a winner just for showing up for yourself, showing up for your dreams. Okay, because we all dream about being a best-selling author, and you show up for this, right? There's no such thing as failure in this industry. Heck, there's no such thing as failure anyway. All you did was found a way that didn't work. Okay, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. There's Angela. Oh, I'm not going to come at you. I'm just glad that you were here because I know that you were probably in Sarah's. So, yeah, Angela's on wizard time. Love you, Jenna. Love you. Yes, Brandy is one smart cookie because you all, I'm telling you right now, show up and you've won. All you have to do is consistently show up and you have won. Thank you all so much for coming to this today. When I discovered that I had booked it for the same time as Sarah's, I'm like, oh yeah, nobody's coming. Jenna will be there, but that'll be it. And I am so very grateful to all of you for showing up. I wouldn't mind doing this on a regular basis. You know what, Brandy? Let me take a screenshot. And I will put that on a Chad notebook. I will do that. But listen, you guys, what was that? I might know how you feel after yesterday. What happened yesterday? Oh yeah, the whole thing of your sprints that you forgot about that were at the same time as Sarah's live. But you know what? You guys are awesome. You are so welcome. You guys are so welcome. Have fun. I will order my winning Nano t-shirt and say that Mel and Brandy said I already won since I showed up. Yes. Thank you, my love. I would definitely consider doing this on a fairly regular basis where we kind of like have these chats. And don't forget now, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, we're going to do some nano planning. Okay. For those of you who are interested in that, it'll be a 1-ish hour, be very loose kind of thing. And for those of you who are interested, you can hit up my link tree and go over to my coaching website, melissapowercoaching.com. If you are looking for some more in-depth coaching, discovery calls are always free. I would love to help you along on your journey. I really, really just love serving my community. Love it. Yes, and thank you all for being here. Thank you all. I appreciate you guys so much, so much. Don't forget, as Jenna likes to say, take care of yourself. You're worth it. Take care of yourself. You're worth it. And as I like to tell my clients, the world needs your stories. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. You are already a winner. Already. Love you guys so much, so much. I will see you in the morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Love you.